Team of the Year voting is targeted to be live at 12 p.m. Eastern today. Voting will be available again starting today through February 22nd. That's 5 days. Check out the chat. We're going to be dropping the voting link for the voting countdown. And let's show you who you're voting for. Here we go. First up, obviously we got the specialists. Bang. Take a look. Specialists. I'll go through them here. Kicker. Justin Tucker of the Ravens led the NFL in field goals. Daniel Carlson of the Raiders led the NFL in field goals from over 50 yards. Tommy Townsend of the Chiefs for punter led the NFL in net yards per punt. And then you're also voting on Braden Mann of the Jets. One fun fact to show, Braden Mann went to high school in Cypress, Texas with Lions tight end Brock Wright. Who knew Cypress, Texas was a hotbed for backup tight ends and punters? Third down back, Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, Jerick McKinnon. Eckler, of course, led all running backs in fantasy points this year. Fullback, Patrick Ricard, Spencer, Massachusetts' finest. Pancake Pat, Kyle Juszczyk, and Alec Ingold. Kick returner, Nyheim Hines, self-explanatory. Only person with 2 kick return touchdowns this year, both in the same game, both in that historic game. We all know what we're talking about here. Incredible. Jamal Agnew, staple kick returner for the Jags, and Keyshawn Nixon for the Packers. Most return yards in the league, 1,100 plus return yards all-purpose for Keyshawn Nixon. Rush defender, 3 of them. Christian Wilkins, Cam Hayward, Javon Hargrave. Christian Wilkins had a career-high 96 tackles. He had the highest run-stop win rate in the NFL. Cam Hayward had 10.5 sacks, tied his career high in QB hits, all at the age of 33. Aging like fine wine, that man. Javon Hargrave for the Eagles, of course, 11 sacks. Eagles fans will tell you he was a staple in that defense. Up next, let's talk middle linebackers. Let me get a sip of water first. All right, thank you. Middle linebackers. Here they are. Here's who you're voting on. Bobby Wagner of the Rams. Career high 6 sacks this year. Also had 2 picks, 140 tackles. Levante David of the Bucks, 124 tackles. Fred Warner, only a 60% completion rate when targeted. That's the lowest of this group. Pretty low, actually, for linebackers. Then you got Tremaine Edmonds of the Bills, Demario Davis of the Saints. That is your Team of the Year linebacker group. Safeties. 10 of them. 5 free, 5 strong. Boom. Free safety, Minkah Fitzpatrick of the Steelers. Antoine Winfield of the Buccaneers. Justin Simmons of the Broncos. Kevin Byard of the Titans. Tyrann Mathieu of the Saints. Strong safety, Rodney McLeod of the Colts. Ryan Neal of the Seahawks. Talanoa Hufanga of the 49ers. Budda Baker of the Cardinals. And Derwin James of the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's talk D-line. D-tackle and D-end. Boom. D-tackle, Chris Jones of the Chiefs, Quinnen Williams of the Jets, Derek Brown of the Panthers, Dexter Lawrence of the Giants. For the ends, we got Max Crosby of the Raiders. Jerry Hughes of the Texans, year 13, he still had 9 sacks. Brian Burns of the Panthers, he had 12.5 sacks. Myles Garrett of the Browns, highest rated edge, according to Pro Football Focus. Montez Sweat of the Commanders. And Nick Bosa of the 49ers, of course, led the NFL in sacks and quarterback hits by quite a margin. Chris Jones actually had the highest pass rush win rate in the NFL of all interior defenders. What do we got going on here? There you have it. Your defensive lineman team of the year. Let's go outside linebacker now. Outside linebacker. We thinking pass rush. We thinking pass coverage, run stopper. Outside linebackers. Here you go. Alex Highsmith of the Steelers. 5 forced fumbles this year. League high. Matt Judon of the Pats. 15.5 sacks. Hassan Reddick of the Eagles. Also 5 forced fumbles. Donnell Hunter of the Vikings. 10.5 sacks. Jalen Phillips of the Dolphins. Khalil Mack of the Chargers. Micah Parsons of the Cowboys. 13.5 sacks. And Dre Greenlaw of the 49ers. Worth a note, the only non-pass rusher on here. Shout out to Dre Greenlaw for making it not sexy. Cornerback. Boom. Studs. Corners. Jalen Ramsey of the Rams, 3rd highest graded by PFF. Tyson Campbell of the Jags. Sauce Gardner of the Jets, highest graded by Pro Football Focus. And, of course, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Only allowed 1 receiving touchdown in coverage this year. Marlon Humphrey of the Ravens. Pat Surtain of the Broncos. 2nd highest graded by PFF. Jair Alexander, Darius Slay, Stephon Gilmore, all each only allowed 2 touchdowns in coverage. And Charvarius Ward of the Niners. Let's get to the big boys here. This is what you came for. The big boys. And I see some red and black over here. Middle row, 2nd from the left. That's my right guard, baby. Quentin Nelson. Nah, I'm just kidding. Chris Lindstrom. Quentin Nelson's a beast too, though. Center. Jason Kelsey of the Eagles. Creed Humphrey of the Chiefs. Frank Ragnow of the Lions. Creed Humphrey had the highest Pro Football Focus rating. Jason Kelsey had the 2nd highest. They were 89.9 and 89.5. But the next highest was 79. So those two this year, man, dominant in the middle, matched up in the Super Bowl. If that doesn't tell you the trenches win games, I don't know what does. Left guard, Joe Thuney of the Chiefs, highest pass block win rate in the league. Joe Bitonio of the Browns, 2nd highest Pro Football Focus grade. Quentin Nelson of the Colts. Right guard, Chrissy Lindstrom, baby. Chrissy PFF. Chrissy Pancakes. Chrissy Bull Rush. Chrissy, whatever you want to call him. Highest graded guard by 8 points, according to PFF. Despite no actual threat throwing the ball for most of the season, the Falcons had a 5th round rookie rush for over 1,000 yards behind Dudley, Massachusetts' finest, Chris Lidstrom. You also got Michael Onwenu and Zach Martin there. Left tackle. Christian Darrisaw of the Vikings. Andrew Thomas of the Giants. Trent Williams of the 49ers. 3 highest PFF grades at tackle. At right tackle, you got Tristan Wirfs of the Bucks. Ryan Ramczyk of the Saints. Lane Johnson of the Eagles. Miles Sanders led all running backs in yards before carry. And Lane Johnson had the highest pass block win rate of all tackles as well. All right, what do they call these? They call them skill positions. I don't like that term, but I guess we're getting into the skill positions. Tight end. Tight end. We got 4 of them. Very deserving group, if I do say so myself. I know. Parker Hesse should be on there. It's okay. George Kittle, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelce. Kelce, 3rd most receptions in the entire NFL. Hawkinson, sneakily, 15th most catches in the NFL. Traded to the Vikings, of course, mid-season. Fantasy takeaway for Hawkinson for next year? Think he's going to have a good year? Or is that offense just so dominated by Justin Jefferson that it's hard to even think anyone else being fantasy viable? Doesn't take much at the tight end position, though. Those are your tight ends. Team of the year. Madden Team of the Year. Hashtag Madden TOTY, by the way. If you want to talk, if you want to get the debate flowing on Twitter, hashtag Madden TOTY. Let's go with halfbacks. Halfbacks, baby. Solid group right here. All right, here we go. Nick Chubb. In what felt like a down year for Nick Chubb, he had a career-high rushing yards and tied his career high in rushing touchdowns. 1,500 plus yards and 12 touchdowns. And that was like, what felt like a down year for Nick Chubb. This dude's a monster. Tony Pollard finally had his year. The year Cowboys fans and other people have been calling for a while now. Truly special running back there. 1,300 all-purpose yards and 12 touchdowns. Also, let me give a shout-out real quick, Tony Pollard. Let me give a shout-out to one Darrington Evans. I would have added him to the Team of the Year noms if I could have, but one Darrington Evans. Big mutt guy, big community guy. Shout out to Darrington Evans. He told me at the beginning of the season, Tony Pollard was in his top 5 running backs in the NFL. We talked about this, and he gave me his top 5, and his number 5 was Tony Pollard. And I was like, you know what? I like bold. So shout out to Darrington. Christian McCaffrey, 49ers. Jamal Williams led the league in rushing touchdowns by 4 touchdowns, 17. Josh Jacobs, of course, led the league in rushing yards. Also had the longest rush of the year, 86 yards. And Saquon Barkley of the Giants. Big bounce back year for him. Let's go receivers. Boom. Madden Team of the Year, baby. Receivers. Tyreek Hill. Statistically, the most consistent fantasy wide receiver in 2022. Had the rep of being inconsistent. Now the most consistent. Devontae Adams, receiving leader in touchdowns. A.J. Brown set the Eagles' single-season record for receiving yards, almost 1,500. Justin Jefferson, leader in receptions and yards in the entire NFL. Obviously, your stalwarts. Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. These guys, immensely talented receivers. Never gonna forget about these guys. Amon-Ra St. Brown on the ascension, on the up and up. Lions fans will tell you, they're building a juggernaut offense up there in Detroit. And then Jalen Waddle of the Dolphins. Of all wide receivers who played a full season, he led all of them in yards after the catch per reception. He was also the yards per target leader. Jalen Waddle. Finally, before I hit you with some goodbye giveaways to send you into the weekend, our 6 quarterback nominees for Madden's 2022-2023 Team of the Year. Justin Fields, 7th most rushing yards in the entire NFL. Josh Allen, tied for the 2nd most passing touchdowns, led the NFL in completed air yards, but he was hucking. Jalen Hurts, obviously the heart and soul of that Eagles team, debatably, but just led that team to new heights. Justin Herbert, 2nd in passing yards for the Chargers. Patrick Mahomes, not much more to say. NFL MVP, Super Bowl MVP, set the NFL record for total yards in a season with over 5,600. And then Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, tied for 2nd in passing touchdowns. There you have it, gang. Madden Team of the Year nominees. Don't shoot the messenger.